Is up? What is up? Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the In Off the Bench Podcast Network's Grid and Grind Show. I'm Daniel Ball, and today we got another good one. We're going to be talking to Brielle Macchiarelli of the South Beach Palms. We're going to talk about cheerleading. We're going to talk about the Lions. We're going to talk about the Palms. We're going to talk about maybe West Virginia. Who knows? That might get thrown out there. We're going to talk about championships and prep work and all that good stuff leading into the season for the 2025, which, I mean, we got a little over a month before United Grid League gets off and running. But before Brielle joins us, obviously, the lights are still on. So that means sponsors have been plugged. And in order to keep these lights on, I got to make sure I give love to the people that make sure that we continue to do what we love to do. Jesus One Apparel, living, embodying, just, take a bold step in your faith. Live the message of John 16:33. Jesus won, and he continues to win each and every day. Chinook Seedery, whether you're in the boardroom or on the field, make sure you're going to your local gas station, local convenience store, local grocery store, and pick up the best sunflower seeds in the game. College baseball season, like, we're in the thick of it. Conference play is going on, and what better way to go support your team at the ballpark than with your best and favorite bag of sunflower seeds, Chinook seeds. And finally, Old Dominick Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis, from bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin. Old Dominick's got you covered. Stop in today for a tour or just to pick up your favorite bottle. And with that, it's time to get to the interview. Help me welcome on to the show South Beach Palm star Brielle Macchiarelli. Brielle, what is happening? What's up? What's going on? How's it going today?
Just working. It's good.
What do you do for work? I'm curious. I'm always wondering, like, what do people do? Like, what is your job?
I am the sales manager for a yachting company, basically. So we sell equipment to yachts, here in Fort Lauderdale. It's, the yachting capital of the world. So no better place to be selling these parts.
Is it a requirement while you're working to listen to yacht rock?
Not that I've ever experienced. I'm a country girl. I got country music playing.
I don't blame you. West Virginia, you gotta have a little bit of country in you, right? Obviously,
yeah, just a little.
Yeah, you cheerleader at West Virginia. If I read this correctly, did they not just win a championship? Is that not what just happened?
Last weekend, they just won nationals, which is huge, and I'm super stoked for them and proud alumni. So that was awesome. I don't think that we've won that since 2016 before then. So that was a hot minute ago.
Hey, you take them while you get them, because they're not easy to do. Especially in cheerleading, it's really essentially close to grid in a sense. Like, the amount of room for error is so small and so finite. Like, any little thing is going to deduct points, or any little mishap or misstep or miscommunication in grid could cost you a race. So I can see, like, the pressure is always on in the sports that you're choosing to play. But
yeah.
Did you do any other sports other than cheerleading growing up, or was it strictly, I want to get to tumbling and flying through the air and doing all that?
I played lacrosse for a little while. I grew up in New Jersey, so that's like a big sport up there. And so I did lacrosse for, I don't know, like maybe 6 or 7 years, but cheerleading and gymnastics were always kind of the favorite. And then as I got older, I kind of veered out of the gymnastics and focused on cheerleading. It gets to a point, like grid, you have to focus on, okay, well, where's my skills best applied? And at that point in my life, it was cheerleading to get into college and do that. So
did you ever think that, like, as you're doing gymnastics and cheerleading, and I asked this for a personal reason, did you have to make a choice between one or the other? Like, I feel like at a certain age, like, especially with gymnastics, it takes so much commitment.
It's demanding. I mean, both of them. I mean, like competitive sports in general, you're traveling, and, gymnastics is traveling to one competition this weekend and cheerleading's going to another state. And, you can't be in two places at the same time. The training schedules are getting, more demanding as you get older and better. So, I mean, yeah, you do have to eventually choose one if you're going to compete. If you're doing it recreationally, I think there's room for both.
Yeah, that hurts my heart. My daughter is doing gymnastics. She's just got on the competition team, and she's
Oh,
also doing competitive dance. And so I know deep down eventually there's going to have to be a choice that has to be made. And like I'm in the gymnastics camp and my wife is in the dance camp. And so
I
it's
love
like it
it.
can be very contentious like as we get closer to that time. I think we still got some time,
Yeah,
but
you got time. You got
uh,
time.
man, I don't look forward to the day because if you know anything about my oldest daughter, if my wife says rob a bank, that she gonna go rob a bank. Like
He's
it's
gonna go
whatever.
do it.
So, um, but let's get into a little bit of your fitness journey. Obviously, you're very strong. You got a lot of talents on the grid. What is it, or when did you get into working out and fitness? Was it because you were supplementing the cheerleading, or was it something that you really developed, after you were done with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I left West Virginia. I went to college in West Virginia from New Jersey, was finishing up school and was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I think everyone goes through that. And this was a long time ago, but I was like, I'm going to move to Florida. I don't want to do snow anymore. And then once I got down here, I was 21 years old and like had no friends because I was new, to the area. And I was like, okay, well, if you know me, I could talk to like the wall and have a good time. But I was like, I need someone that'll just, hang out with me. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I was coaching cheerleading and CrossFit, which was great. But so I had to find a new gym basically as it was the stepping stone. So I started at a small gym here near my house and just kind of made friends, got involved in the community. And it was kind of the open that first year at that new gym in Pompano that I was like, okay, this is fun. I can like kind of curb my competitive appetite with this, like there's room here for something. Cause it's like at 21, I mean, I'm still not done being competitive, but at that point in my life, I was, coaching and so I didn't have like the 9 to 5 kind of schedule. And I'm like, I need something to do, So
Yeah.
it was kind of the perfect storm.
I mean, well, I can say this because I lived it. 21 is a great 20s are great to live in Fort Lauderdale.
It's
Let's just
not bad. It's not bad.
not um, I've obviously as I got older, I migrated over to Tampa, but yeah, that time in Fort Lauderdale it was a pretty nice
Tampa's
time.
fun too.
Hey,
St.
you're
Pete,
right.
that area, that's not bad.
No, not at all. It's just a different phase in Tampa. It's more the family
Yeah.
phase, but
Yes.
so you get into CrossFit, you go into the open. Is it something that you immediately or like, oh my God, like I love this? Because a lot of people have this they have their story of how they got into CrossFit or went into a CrossFit gym and had a kick-ass workout. They died a couple times during it, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm going back the next day. So
Yeah.
for you going into the gym in the open, like, did you have that same experience?
Yeah, what I mean? It's like any gym owner or like coach would do, I was new. So they're asking, do you have any injuries? Like, do you know what this is? Like, what's the deal here? And the workout, I forget the reps, but it was bar muscle ups and handstand push-ups, which are two movements I've been able to do forever because of gymnastics and cheerleading. So I was like, I'm good. Like, see, I'm gonna just jump up here and hop into this. And I think everyone thought I was crazy, but it was so much because I couldn't snatch. I couldn't do a snatch. I didn't know what that was, but I'm like, yeah, I could do 21 bar muscle ups, no problem. Move, get out of my way. And it was like the funniest thing. So, but it was good because then it gave me like a really good base, obviously for CrossFit and for grid. And then I learned, the barbell movements and, everything else that comes with the sport.
Yeah. So I've talked to a couple different, body weight specialists. David Blatt is one. He was like, yeah, when I walked into a CrossFit gym, I was doing ring muscle ups, and it was the first time I was ever in there, and people were like hating me. I think Reese Lyons told me the same thing about his experience, and I was like, yeah, that's because those are the movements that everyone works their ass off to try to get, and then all of a sudden, like, you come in here on day one and you're able to do 10 or 15 of them unbroken. So like, it's interesting because it just shows you how specialized certain, movements of CrossFit can be and how much it translates into what it's not the same as grid, and it's very different from grid, but there are movements and standards that you can kind of interweave into the two sports.
Definitely,
So,
definitely.
so obviously being in Fort Lauderdale, how do you get linked up with grid? Is it just because the communities mesh together and they overlap, or is it someone reached out to you and saw the 3,500 bar muscle ups you did unbroken on your first day and they were like, yeah, you need to come do this?
Yeah, well, kind of both. So what I was doing, so I was when I, at that time I was coaching, and that was my full-time job, if you will, and cheerleading and CrossFit was a little on the side. And I started working part-time at a Lululemon down here, and so which was really great because you got to meet, fit people, and everyone had similar interests. So I met two previous players of the Fort Lauderdale Lions, Christina and Nicole, and the three of us became very good friends and still are. And they were like, hey, we do this thing, it's called grid, and we need someone who can help with like our gymnastics, like our handstands in particular, handstand push-ups, handstand walk, whatever. And this was year one of Grid League that they were in. I joined year two, which I think was 2018 of the Grid League. So they had just finished season one of Florida Grid League at that point. And they're like, hey, come to our combine. It's going to be year two. We need someone like you. You don't have to touch a barbell or a dumbbell or anything else. Like, we just need you to walk on your hands. And I was like, I could do that. I could do that. No problem. So I went, and that's how I started with the Lions. I did the combine and had a really good time, kind of like lit a fire. And I was like, oh, this is fun. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, when you're coming from that competitive like background, and like it really does, like I can't explain it. I can just tell you my story. Like, it scratches that competitive itch when you walk into a CrossFit gym, and then whatever you do within that CrossFit realm or fitness realm, functional fitness, grid, whatever you want to throw or attach to it, it just helps, scratch the itch of competitiveness. And I think that's why people really fall in love with it. But what's it like, you know, did you have the opportunity to be coached by Jamie Gold?
Oh yeah, for seven or six seasons I was with the Lions, 6 seasons. So she's head coach. I actually saw her yesterday at the box dock, making sure I'm healthy for the season. So I mean, I had a great time on the Lions. I have nothing, bad to say. And her leadership is definitely what like kept me going for a while with that. And, just learning, the races and the strategy. And, she obviously has tons of experience. So it was really nice to learn from, in my opinion, one of the best.
Absolutely. I mean, she's very, highly regarded as one of, the best coaches in the league. She's a unbelievable, lineage as a CrossFit athlete. Um, with the Lions, what was the cause to switch to the Palms? Did you just need a breath of fresh air? You needed something new, or were you rethinking not playing and then they kind of talked you into it at the Palms? Like, how does that work?
No, so I don't know. It was and again, like I have nothing bad at all to say about the Lions. But it was more this was 2 years ago, right? So I was 27, 28 years old. Like I've grown up in the sport of grid, like into an adult. And I think that with that, I kind of, learned like what I was down for and not, necessarily at the same time. And the Lions team, not the coaching, the team, at that time, and there's a lot of these people that are no longer in the league. But it was very, the vibe is different from the two teams. So like on the Lions, if the assignment is, whatever, 50 front squats at, 155, the Lions, I felt at that time, were like, well, I could do all 50. And it was like me. And it was a lot of ego at this time. Now, again, a lot of these people are not there anymore, but the Palms, well, now that I've had experience of one season with them, it's like, no, Brie, you go. You're better at this. Or Jess, you take these because you're strong as hell, And it's like, it's just a very different collaboration where like on the Lions, I felt like I was constantly fighting for play time. And Palms, it's like really like who's going to be best at this assignment, and that's who we're putting in. And it's not an ego competition.
Yeah, one of the things coaches say all the time when they're building rosters or having to plug holes, and this has recently happened, during the off season of the sport. You're having to find not just athletes, but the right athletes. And
The vibes have to be good.
it's and that's another buzzword that a lot of people use. Like they have to vibe with the people, the culture, and what we've created. Because one person that doesn't mesh or doesn't, see is going to stick out. And sometimes those people can be, you know, they only hurt themselves, but then sometimes they pull others with them and start feeling the same way that they feel. And once you have that, then it's a really hard um, thing for a coach is to, remedy that problem.
Yeah.
So, when I talked to Briley, a few weeks ago, that's one of the things that she mentioned is like vibes. Like our vibes are killer. Like we get along, we like each other, we support each other. There's no egos. So having that sense, obviously, it probably does feel like you can breathe a little bit and relax and really have fun with the sport and get after it. And you might even find yourself being a better athlete, on the palms because of it.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. I mean, I
but
felt like last year was my first season with the Palms, so that was my seventh grid year. And I felt like that same excitement that like I had season one and season two on the Lions, because it's a new sport and you're trying to learn. And, but I felt like that again last year. I felt that excitement. I was having fun, and I hadn't felt like that in a couple of years.
is that the reason for re-signing, or you were going to re-sign and play no matter what?
Last year when I was signing for the Palms and before the season started, I was like, okay, now mind you, Brielle and I train at the same gym, so I know her very well. And that's how I kind of knew, I'm like, our personalities already work, like we hang out. But it was kind of the make or break, right? I was like, I'm either going to love the Palms and it's going to be great, and I'm going to continue this for however many more seasons I can, or this is going to it's just going to be it. Like you know, I'm getting older. Not that I'm old, but like I'm getting older, like your priorities kind of change, your lifestyle kind of changes. So it was kind of that make or break. And then like I said, last year I had so much fun just with the team and felt, just so part of it. Everyone welcomed me with open arms, and so now it's like I wouldn't imagine not signing with the Palms.
Got to run it back. Let's run this
Run it
back.
back. Do it
Um,
again.
so let's get into last season. We can kind of, you can talk as much or a little as you want about the Vegas and the matches prior to Vegas, but really what it came down to is a point differential going into the last regular season match against the Brigade. And you needed to win, which you did, but you needed to win by more than 5 points, which, when you look at grid matches, that's a mountain of a point differential
Right.
to overcome. But going into that match, was that even a thought, or you guys are just like, hey, we're going to go and we're going to give it our best, and whatever happens, happens?
I think it was more like that. Yeah. Like everyone, I really do think we have like a very positive, team oriented group. And last year we didn't have that many players. If you looked at every other team, there was like 19, 18 players on the team, and we're standing over there like 12 of us. So, which was good in its own way, because I really do feel like we were like, I got your back, you got my back. And we knew that, it was almost like like a nonverbal communication. Like I could just look at Sam or Jess or anybody, Heather, and I knew they were going to pick up for me where I needed them, or I could, grab a rep from them to make their life easier. And I think that was like what we were going into playoffs, just like we're a team and we're gonna win together or we're gonna lose together. And that's just, how it went.
Yeah. And you come up short, obviously, but you win. You end on a positive note because
Mm.
if there's anything that you want to control, that's winning and losing. So you go out and you say, we're just going to win. And then whatever happens, happens. So is that the takeaway? Is that you showed up in the last match of that season, with a mountain to overcome to get into the playoffs, and you won the match. And it kind of just gives you a good vibe moving into the off season. Or do you still feel like there was a little bit left on the table from the season as a whole?
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be competitive if I didn't say I didn't want to win. Of course I want to win,
Right.
but so everybody, but I don't feel like shorthanded or anything like that from last season. I don't feel, anything negative in that aspect. It's really just, it kind of, we're coming up against the brigade again, obviously, the next month. And it's kind of like, not redemption, but it's kind of just like, okay, I'm excited to get back out there and like put this new team of ours. We've signed a lot of more athletes, and everyone is super talented and, in with the vibes. And, so it's exciting to see that the team we're going to put out, but I don't have any regrets or I wish we did this differently last year. I think we did, the best we could.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard when you're shorthanded and you're trying to like piece it together. In a sense, it's easier like for, Briley to put together a lineup and make the substitutions, but it's also
Mhm.
harder and more demanding on the players that are in it because there's not a lot of room for backup or injuries or even like fatigue. And
Right.
you know, one of the things yesterday I talked to Dan Jackson about, who's the coach of the Atlanta Wild, was like the movement and progression of the sport is turning into like you're getting a lot of people who are specialized on rosters because the ego thing has now like dissipated. And it's like, yeah, like I know that I need to do these 8 reps, and that's my job for the entire match is be good at those 8 reps. And,
Yep.
he's like, if that's what it is, that's what it is. If that means you're in multiple races, you're in multiple races. But the reality is with the specialization that the sport is going through in certain movements, you have to have really, really talented athletes at those specific movements. Backflips, aerials, and things that you're probably very good at with the cheerleading background. It those things are super helpful because the strongest of the athletes, you've seen it, they can't go out there and do a backflip, nor do
Nope.
they want
Yeah.
to go out there and do a
I
backflip.
don't think they want to go do a backflip.
And, and unless you're Artur, and I feel like Artur wants to do everything. I talked to him.
Artur is down for it all. He is so good. Like he
I,
is like epitome of team player. He's like, put me in, coach. I'll do
I
it.
hear you. I hear you. So how after the season, you're such a veteran, and I asked Sam Secord this too. Like being a veteran in the sport, like it's almost like you're LeBron James. Like, can you really get better at basketball? Like, can that guy really get better at basketball? So, Brielle, can you really get better at grid? Like, I just feel like you're at the top of the game. Like, how do you get better, or what do you do in the off season to get and prepare for a new season of grid?
Yeah, I've definitely gotten better progressively year after year. No doubt about that. I've done, off-season training looks different for me, and I've changed what I've done in the past this year, right? I started working with a trainer at the gym, Janine. She's done bodybuilding with me. We've gone through nutrition, and I actually feel probably the healthiest that I've been since I was like 22, which is great. And it's all just, getting stronger with those little muscles to contribute. Of course, like you still have to lift really heavy. Like that's one of my main jobs, I feel like, on the palms, is to lift the weight. And I'm happy to do it. But it's just staying healthy, and that's kind of becoming a priority versus like, how fast can I do this as many times as I can in the off season. Now, when we're on the grid, it's full send, but
So when do you, obviously the intensity and the speed that has to come. When do you start working on that? I know you guys just had a camp. Are you
yeah.
working on that prior to camp, or now that camp has happened, now you start trying to dial in that speed and that intensity and efficiency for these movements?
Yeah. So, I mean, I started training for grid like about a month ago. I would say grid specific training. Everything is grid training, right? But grid specific. And it would just be like an EMOM, or, maybe like a skill, like a burpee backflip. I haven't done that since last year. Let me just throw a couple of those and see if I still got it. Things like that. And then we did have this camp this past weekend at our home gym, SoFlow. And it's good because now you kind of know, what assignments Brielle is looking at, you taking on. I mean, you can look at the spreadsheet of the match and you kind of know where you're going to go. I'm not doing handstands on the rings. I'm not doing that. And everyone knows that. So it's like, you kind of know what could be signed up for.
Artur's doing that, right?
Yeah, Artur's got it. He's got it. No problem. But yeah, so I mean, it's been training, but now that we've had our first, official, large team practice, it's kind of like, okay, now it's time to like hone in and like really perfect those movements.
What was camp like? Are you, did you have the full roster there? I know, you know, as I talk to teams, it's hard to get everybody in. There's some remote things that are happening. But everyone tries to like even have the athletes that aren't in the area to try to get there in person if they can, just for the camp.
Yeah.
How many people did you have? Were you guys have a full roster? Were you able to, what went on? What did you guys do?
We had about half the team there. We had our tour fly in for camp. Brett drove like, I think like 8 hours down for the practice, and everyone else was able to like, send videos of what they needed to get done. But it was great. I mean, it was like a big family reunion, right? Like everyone's hugging each other, and we had one of our new players, Edgar. He was able to come to practice, so that's good, just to meet everybody in person and like see what everyone's, capable of. And it was awesome.
Yeah. Were you blown away by anybody that you hadn't seen before? You're like, oh man, like this is gonna be good.
I think I said this out loud. We ran the echoes and I was not in one of them. And so I was able to just like stand on the start line, and watch. And I was like, man, like I'm literally fangirling over my own team, like it's so cool, the talent level, and like you see it, like when you're on the grid, you're so focused on your job or like what you might need to pick up from someone else, that like it sounds kind of ridiculous, but watching the sport as a spectator, like you kind of don't get to do that as much because you're
Yeah.
focused on the task. So that practice, being able to literally watch the race run, I was like, man, this is so fun.
Yeah.
Year 8, it's still, awesome.
It,
So good.
it's nice every now and then to take a step back and kind of see it, like almost like from the reason you like it so much is because you saw it and you were like, wow, this is unbelievable. And
Yeah.
now like you get to take a step back because it's not often that you get to do that, especially during a camp scenario where I'm sure as a veteran, like you're doing stuff all the time. Like you're
Yeah.
always doing stuff. Like at brigade camp this past weekend, like I'm walking around and like everyone, if they're not practicing or testing or doing like, they're constantly somewhere trying to figure out technique, efficiency, communication with one another, and like just it's like just a good atmosphere to learn and like
Mhm.
get together and feel those vibes that you guys need to feel.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. I mean, it's just cool. Like if you look at what the league was 8 years ago, like we were not doing movements like this or weight like this, you know? So it's just really, it's awesome to be a part of. It's really cool to see the growth of the sport and like what people are capable of. I mean, it's just so awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. Obviously the evolution of grid has changed, and it's gone through, some minor cosmetic surgery and some major like facelifts. From the inception of the MPGL to the Florida Grid League to the United Grid League, which is what it is now. And you've been for a few of those different renditions of the sport. What is the excitement level like with you as far as like where the league sits now and the expansion? There's a Houston team, there's an Atlanta team, there's a rebranded Daytona team in Vegas. Like, where do you sit on the excitement as far as expansion of the league goes?
No, I mean, I'm obviously a huge fan. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been
Right.
here for 8 years, you know? So, I mean, to see the growth and have it expand across, the United States and, having people like I have friends from West Virginia and New Jersey that don't do CrossFit at all. And they are always on our live stream watching. And they're like, this is just fun to be a part of. So, I mean, I'm super excited for the growth. I think over the next couple of years, it'll be even bigger. And, hopefully I'm still a part of it then. Be 50 years old, run out there. But no, but I mean, I think the sponsorships have gotten bigger. I think we're getting like this year, we have some CrossFit Games athletes that have gotten on a couple of teams. And I mean, that's going to bring growth and, viewers and everything, and which is awesome. And I think there's only one way to go, and it's up bigger, upward and onward. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been interesting, to be a part of this for the short amount of time that I have, and just hearing the excitement and what's going on, and like just the expansion of stuff. Like the sky's the limit for the grid league, for sure. But looking back on your 2025 season, if the Palms are going to compete for a championship, what is the like? Give me the one thing that you guys are working on that you think is going to make a difference.
Strategy. I mean, we have the skill, and I think every team has skill. I mean, I don't think that in years past. I mean, I'm personally guilty of this. It's like, okay, well, we're competing against whoever, and we got this in the bag. It's like, nah, all right, or oh my God, we're competing against whoever, and oh shit, and it's
Yeah.
like this year though, I really feel that every single team is stacked, at least from what I've seen on Instagram, and it's like, that's really cool. It's like, I don't want to win against someone I know I'm going to beat. I want to compete.
Yeah, I mean, when you win a championship, you want to know like you had the best of the best. You don't want any of these jabronis out here throwing excuses on why they weren't competitive. You just want to know
Right.
that everyone was good. Um,
Yep.
that way, when it makes it, if it just makes it that much sweeter when you do make it there and you do win it. But it just goes to show you, like, grid with it only being 4 regular season matches, like you have to start strong and you got to stay strong in order to end strong, because like one bad performance here and there could make or break you.
For sure.
Then we're talking about getting in the point differential. And if I know anything about the point, yeah, y'all want to stay away from point differential, right?
Yeah,
Just
I don't want anything to do with that.
um so May 24th. Don't know if you've heard, but Miami, International Fitness Expo, they are gonna have the week 1 matches for United Grid League. And you guys are squared off against the team that you beat in the last regular season match, the Brigade. Is there any talk on what to do against the Brigade? Is there strategy, or is it you guys, it's still early and you're working on just kind of communicating and getting the things that you guys need to get intact done?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, we still have time. So, I mean, we're definitely still, perfecting, our game plan and everything. And I think that, even in general, I think it's, of course we have to factor in who we're playing against, but it's running our own race. It's what's
Right.
going to be best for the Palms and our players, and what's going to, who goes where and things like that. So, I mean, I'm excited to take on the Brigade again. It's always a fun matchup. So, I'm excited, but it's really focused right now on what is our game plan, not, can't think about what everyone else is doing. You got to focus on your team.
Right. What is it like? Obviously it is what it is when you have to travel for matches, but for you living in Fort Lauderdale and then going to Miami, for most people, like it could take anywhere from 30 minutes to 4 hours to get there. It just really depends. Is it more stressful when you are in your backyard having to compete to load everything up and like make sure like you're there early, or is it harder like when you have to travel?
I think it's harder to travel, like away, like a plane, because it's like, oh God, I need to unpack my gym bag. What do I need? What grips do I need to wear? Should I bring two pairs of grips? I don't know. Like,
But see, to
when
me,
I'm,
it's like I feel like in that regard, like it would be easier because like you show up and you're like, well, whatever I have, I have. There's no going back. Like I can't be mad. Like it is what, like I'm just gonna have to make do without it.
no,
Um,
I have like a crazy planning brain, and that would just, it just would melt if that happened.
so what you're saying is there is a checklist for home matches and away matches.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have my regular gym bag, in the car ready to go, and I know I have everything I need. So, I just have to drive through Miami traffic, which is the bigger challenge.
Ugh, I can tell you I don't miss that. But
Yeah.
Brielle, I appreciate you spending some time with us, carving out, a little bit of time in your day to talk about Grid. Anything you want to plug or promote before you bounce out of here?
Yeah. So, our sponsors for the year, Lubricin, which has been getting all of us our joints feeling right. They're our title sponsor for the season, for the league and for specifically the Palms. So thank you. And then Kava Cartel is our secondary sponsor this year, and he's been awesome at getting us gear and supplements. So I'm excited about that. And then our home gym is CrossFit SoFlo, here in Oakland Park. So if you're in the area, come on by. But it's been great. The owner has been so nice to let us practice there and use the cold plunges, the saunas, and really just get the team feeling right.
I mean, that cold plunge and that sauna, what a
That
combo.
cold
I mean,
plunge is a bear.
I mean, y'all, how cold can it get? That's the
I don't know, because I can't get in it if it's lower than 39. I
no.
am not well composed in that thing.
What's someone who does get in it, like what is the routine? Do you go hot to cold, cold to hot, and how long do you stay in
Uh,
these?
I've seen it both ways. I think it depends on if you've worked out before or you're about to work out. Because if you're about to work out, you don't want to get in the sauna. You don't want to be so relaxed and then go, into a CrossFit workout. But as like a recovery, I've seen people do cold, hot, cold. There's a bunch of ways to go
Uh,
about it.
See,
Yeah.
Brielle, that that's a work that is the workout. Like there's
That's,
no
I'm telling you
before or after. Like
that.
that is the workout.
I
So
know. I can't. I don't like that. The cold, my feet get cold, and then I'm just not happy.
well, I wish you a successful, happy, safe, injury-free season. Obviously, however it shakes out, I'd love to have you back on and we'll recap it and talk about it, later on.
Let's do it.
All right. That is Brielle Macchiarelli, everybody. If you like hearing Brielle's story or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like, share the podcast on Facebook. Head over to YouTube. like, subscribe, notifications. That way you're first to know when new content is dropped. We'll be back here, Grid and Grind Show, on Thursday. We got Carrie, Tyler Bellington of the Atlanta Wild. They're going to share their story with me. We'll be back live on Instagram, so you guys can drop any comments, likes, loves, hearts, hugs. I'll take it all. But we'll see everybody next week. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grid and grind all the time. We're out.